In the fall of 2023, Montclair State University invited the Royal Shakespeare Company to take over an immersive residency program.
You're working with three different people, Emma, Awa, and Aaron. Emma and Awa try to help you understand text, different types of texts of Shakespeare, and you break it down with them using different types of methods of understanding the text and digesting it and breaking it down. And Aaron, you go over what we're trying to perform at the end of the 2 weeks, which is Richard III, and he basically breaks down the text, helps you understand the whole story, and then at the end of the 2 weeks we perform Richard III for all the other classes to see. It's a showcase.
I think the most important thing for students coming to Shakespeare for the first time for me is to try and ignore the myths. I think there's two very clear ideas about what Shakespeare is, and a lot of that is this constructed myth of what we should see around class, around gender, and around who he was writing for. But the reality is he's writing for everyone. So therefore, Shakespeare should be for everyone now, because I think there you find universality, you find connection, you find character, you find identity and belonging in a way that maybe you might not see in the original works.
It was definitely a departure from what we usually do here at Montclair. It was divided into 3 different sections. The second one was a lot more movement-based from what I remember. That one was definitely interesting, though, because we started working in groups, and then we started doing scenes without the dialogue, but still moving and physicalizing it, which is very interesting. It kind of was pretty eye-opening. As someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with Shakespeare, it helps further your knowledge on what a story can be and the intricacies of different people and underlying themes and messages, and I find that very interesting.
How do we make these plays relevant now? If they're not relevant to now, they're not relevant at all. They only exist in their historical context. They're not plays, they're historical documents. And there's a certain academic discipline in studying those, but these are plays. So we have to find how they speak to us. The most important thing is to let the words mean what they actually mean. And let the intentions mean what they actually mean, rather than what they might have meant.
I've enjoyed a lot the workshops with Aaron Parsons because we've been talking a lot about the writing process and the process of the actual words on the page. And I think when digging into Shakespeare, that's been really eye-opening for me, just because it's so hard to remember that somebody wrote this, and it's so hard to stay inspired as a writer and feel like you could ever put something down on a page that can parallel the kind of great things that have already been written. But the way that they instructed us in the sessions, and the way that they encouraged us to just write and just share and just act, was really, really cool. And you could tell everybody involved was really impacted by it.
I think they are super inquisitive. I think they're really curious, and they want to dig into the work. And I always find that interesting with any institution, because you don't always find that. And also it's something that cannot be taught. I can't make you interested in wanting to better your skill or your craft. That's something that is self-imposed. They all want the information, and that's been really beautiful to see. And I love how their minds work. They're very much coming from the perspective of the world they're living in now and how that affects them, and then they're able to apply that to the work. I mean, sometimes there's a bit of, but this isn't, and then once you clear that, they can just access it. And it's so interesting what they come up with and how they relate to the work. So I feel like I'm actually learning from them and their perspective just as much as I am teaching them. And that's always the best kind of relationship. As a practitioner, you want to be able to go from project to project and to better your craft every time, because the people teach you something.
These workshops with the Royal Shakespeare Company enhance Montclair students' understanding of classical drama.